So thanks everyone for attending this meeting. So I'm just to introduce myself, I'm Kent Aquereburu. I'm in charge of the data lab of Société Générale Assurance.
And I'm Martina Machet, head of data intelligence and products department in the French retail bank at Société Générale.
All right, so let's dive in. All right, it was just a little video to introduce the subject. I'm going to stand. I prefer it that way. Okay, so today we are going to talk about generative AI, and we are mainly going to focus on one specific subject. It's the subject of content intelligence. Basically, it's all the subjects that are related to intelligent assistants, which basically enables us to find quickly information on a huge database of documents. So this is the topic of this session. But just to let you know that there is a lot of topics around GenAI that we are also doing in Société Générale. And we've divided into four main categories. So content intelligence, as I was explaining, content generation, all subjects around the generating image, text, video, or any media. We have also customer engagement subjects. This is more all subjects around the analysis of client documents. Could be emails, could be verbatim, could be anything that the client, anything related to the client's interaction. And the last one, the last C, this is coding. So this is more all GenAI for the productivity of IT and the developers. And just in terms of context, I'm sure that a lot of you are already aware of the disruptive nature of GenAI technology. But basically, just to sum up a few key points, that's a game changer. First of all, we think that generative AI complements traditional AI. So traditional AI still exists. We still use it. We still do a lot of things really good. But thanks to GenAI, we can go further in all the things we used to do, and we can also do new things. So, for example, we can have, thanks to GenAI, a new level of conversational agents that can interact with people in a more fluid way. We can also go further in content generation, and we have those huge pre-trained LLMs, so large language models, which can be used for a variety of different use cases. This is a main point. We can have one LLM, but we can customize it to address a lot of use cases, and we don't need as much data to train those models as we used to need. Okay, so this is it for the introduction. Okay, so the topic of interest of today, it's RAG. So RAG, it's Retrieval Augmented Generation. Basically, what we wanted to share with you is that LLM is the new kid on the block, but it's just the tip of the iceberg, because actually you have many LLM, you have open source LLM, you have private LLM. You can choose among many LLM, but in fact, RAG is something that is really useful, that can complement LLM. And because, as you know, the LLM is based on a specific training data, and if you want to customize your model for your company, for your topic, the question is, how do I incorporate my database in those LLM? So I can just give my data to ChatGPT or something like that. I need to find a way to introduce my own data into the LLM workflow. So as LLM, they're very interesting, but we are going to talk about RAG. And okay, what is RAG? Really briefly, not going into detail, but basically, it's the fact that we can search, we can build a search model that can go find the right documents that are best suited to answer a specific question. And then at the end, we just use the LLM. As you can see, the LLM is the small part of the graph to generate a current answer and a good synthesis of the answer. So this is just a general overview of the RAG. And then in order to illustrate it with a specific use cases, I will give the floor to Martina.
Thank you, Kent. I will stand up. So. Yes, so actually we started focusing on RAG because we thought that content intelligence, finally, it's the domain where generative AI can really be a game changer, especially in big companies, because you know, we always have a lot of documents, ton of documents, I would say, spread everywhere, and it's always difficult to find the good information when we are looking for it. And for example, at Société Générale, we have a document database which is very big. It contains thousands and thousands of documents, and in this database, there are several types of documents. We have procedures, product sheets, etc. And these documents have also different formats. We have PDF, Word, Excel, screenshots. And today, our collaborators use a search engine, a classical search engine working with keywords in order to look for information inside this database. And the pain point today is that this search is quite time-consuming, because you have to imagine that the collaborator write 2 or 3 keywords on what you want to search, and then the search engine will give him a list of tens documents, and the collaborator has to search in these documents the right one. Sometimes he finds it, sometimes no. And well, when you find it, you still have to go through all the documents in order to identify the good part of the documents that you are looking for. So it's quite time-consuming, and it's for this reason that in order to facilitate the daily task of our collaborators and help them in their search of information, we developed Lassie, which is an intelligent content assistant powered by generative AI. So this intelligent assistant is basically a combination of document retrieval and text generation in order to provide a contextual and precise answer to the user prompts. So how it works? Basically, it's what Kent just explained. You have the user making a question, a prompt, and Lassie will search inside all the document database the documents that are more relevant in order to answer to the user question, and also and especially the paragraph that are very important to make an answer. And then it will use these paragraphs in order to generate a contextualized answer, and also to how to say, to show to the user the documents and the paragraph that has been used to generate the answer. So you can imagine that this use case has a lot of value, because today we have more than 20,000 collaborators, and they spend about 30 minutes per day searching for information. So even if we can save them a few minutes per day, multiplied by the number of collaborators and the number of working days in the year, you can see that we can gain a lot of time, and this time collaborators can invest it doing some value-added task with respect to just search for information. Then it's important also to provide to collaborators access to the knowledge of the enterprise, and especially for the new employees, it's quite useful, because they have to learn a lot in a short time. And finally, we also want to improve the collaborator satisfaction, and also in the end the customer satisfaction, because if the collaborator can answer to a question of the customer more quickly, also the customer will be more satisfied. So I wanted just to show you a little demonstration of this smart assistant. And I just wanted to say that this smart assistant is already in production. It has been industrialized. And we are actually in a pilot time with a few hundreds of collaborators in our branches. And we hope to scale little by little in all our branches. So I will comment it a bit. SGRF is just the acronym for the retail bank. So you see, you have an interface which is quite simple, with a search bar. So in the search bar, you can write your question in natural language, as in the example. It's a question about, I think, a share account. And then let's see, we start his search, and it will give you a synthetic answer that you can see at the beginning. And just below, you have all the documents that have been used to make the answer. So you see that you can go through the different documents in order to look at them. And an important thing is that for each document, you have the paragraphs, the important paragraphs highlighted, in order to have immediately the information you are looking for. You can also open the document if you want to read it entirely. And finally, important thing, you can give your feedback just below the answer, in order to say yes, if the answer of Lassie was good or not, if it was exact or incomplete, etc., in order that we can improve our application continuously. That's it for Lassie, but this is just one of our use cases, and I leave Kent telling you much more on insurance use case.
Thanks, Martina. So basically, the right use cases can be useful for a lot of business line, and what we wanted to highlight here is that what we are doing for in the bank side, we can also adapt it in the insurance context. And basically, what we can do, we can specifically fine-tune the RAG to be more optimal for a specific business line. So, for example, what we have done is that we have fine-tuned the search and retrieval model on our specific documentation, which is very specific. You know, we have specific vocabulary. We have some tax and legal issues that are very, very specific, and that will be masked if we were to do a generic RAG that control everything. So we can, based on the same components and the same methodology, we can fine-tune those models, and this is what we have done. And we have a pilot bot also that is in production. We're in the pilot phases. The bot is called Charlie, and the bot is dedicated to for the internal workers, dedicated to answering tax and legal insurance question. And also, one important thing, that approach of having a generic approach, but be able to fine-tuning for specific things, it also helps us do something like optimizing the bot response. For example, you might have different level of risk acceptance depending of your customer, so you can adapt your bot to answer in a specific way depending on where you are deploying your RAG. So that's what we wanted to share on this part. Okay, so now on the most important part, I think, of the talk. We have learned a lot by deploying those RAG in production, and we try to sum up right now a couple of insights that we have gathered. We are still learning, but those are one of the most important findings that we have. Okay, so first of all, there is no one size fits all. It has always been true for traditional AI. It's also true for generative AI. There is no LLM that you can apply that will solve all your use cases. There is many aspects that you can just need to check. You need to assess the trade-off between open source, between proprietary APIs. You need to check the costs of the model. It depends on your use cases. You need to see if you are going to have only a prompting strategy. It can work for some cases, or you need to know if you need to fine-tune the model because your task is very hard to solve. You also can choose between a large or specific model. There are more and more specific models of small size that are out right now that can be really good. So why not try it? So the point is, you need to have an access point that can give you basically the word of LLM, and it's up to you to choose based on your use case. So that's the first main insight that we wanted to share. For the second insight is that, and tracing back to the first slide I was sharing, as you can see, there is a lot of moving parts in the RAG architecture. So when things fails, you need to know where to start. How can you improve if something goes wrong? And to do that, you really need to divide your pipeline into different specific parts so that you can assess each part individually and to isolate where my pipeline is failing. And what we have learned is that, at least for our use case, is that the retrieval part. I mean, the model that is going to get your best document, your best paragraph, is the most important one, because if you don't get the right information from the start, there is a little chance that your LLM will give you a useful answer. So usually, it's there that is all the tricks that you have to do. You need to implement it there. And maybe for the technical people in the audience, things like how do I divide, how do I chunk my documents, because we can have documents that are structured very differently. You can have table and documents. There is a lot of technical things that you need to solve, and that will impact your performance. So on the retrieval parts, you need to have those to make really critical decisions if you want really to see your performance improve over time. And the second point is around hallucination. As all of you know, hallucination can't totally be avoided as of now. Even with RAG, you can do RAG and still have some hallucination. So here, the insight is that you really need to fine-tune when your model is going to say, I don't know. The I don't know answer is very important, especially for our use cases, because sometimes the user would rather have I don't know than a false response and never use your app again. So it's better to say I don't know the answer and then tell the user to fall back to a real people or to ask the question to someone else. So it's a really important part.
And two other main insights that we want to share with you. Well, the first one is nothing new, but it's always important, and it's important to recall it. It's the importance of the data quality. Data quality is still key, also for Gen AI, not just for classical, let's say, AI. And it's even more important, I think, for Gen AI, because with predictive model, generally, what we see is that users continues to have a sort of a critical eye on the output of our models. While generative AI, I mean, you have the impression that you have a human in front of you, and so it's generally you trust it, and so the users generally trust what generative AI tell them, and it's for this reason that in order to have good performance, it's key to have a good input, a good data quality of your input. So it's important to have a good governance, for example, for your documents database, to have them up to date, and try to avoid to have multiple versions of documents, duplicated documents, information that are contradictory between documents, etc. And what we see is also that basically generative AI can push us to rethink actually the structure of our documents database. What I see is that users and generally people who write the documentation, they start understanding how generative AI actually works, and they say, yes, so actually, if I write the document in this way, the generative AI can have a better performance. And so also the people writing the documentation are starting to understand that probably we have to write our documentation differently if we want generative AI to be performant. And the last main insight that we want to share is the importance of user feedback, and the importance to integrate users from the beginning of the project, because you can realize quite easily that users today don't know how to deal with generative AI. Generally, they still just write a few keywords and they hope to have a good answer. It doesn't work, and so it's very important to make POC, MVP, and pilot with the final users, because with this you can realize that there is a lot of change management to do in order they can use in a proper way generative AI tools, and the fact to test our tools with them, it also gives us some important information on how we can improve our models and our product. And so, just to conclude, maybe a last suggestion that we can give you, it's the importance, in any case, to find a right balance between the technological watch and the deployment, and to ensure that you have a smooth transition between the two, because today we know that the environment of generative AI, it's very moving, and you have new components every day. I would say do not panic. The important thing is just to identify the components that can be useful for your use case, to test them, and then go to the implementation.
Yeah, the key word is really the right balance, because we want to try different models. There are new models every day, but we also want to facilitate the reuse across entities, across data lab. So at some point, you need to start to standardize some things to allow sharing of best practice. If someone deploy a use cases with a pipeline, a component, we need to ensure that this can be reusable, at least to some extent, for other entities. So you need to always check that you are not always on the exploration side, but you are also deploying real business value cases, and that's what we are trying to do, at least at Société Générale. So thanks everyone.
We have time, I think, for a few questions, if you want.
Thank you for your presentation here. On the left, thanks. So 2 questions concerning Lacey, the first product. First, what is the level of satisfaction that you have measured from your users? And second, have you chosen a specific topics, or you took all the wide range of documents to answer collaborators' questions?
Yeah, I start with the second one. We didn't choose a specific topics. We tried to address all the document database. And actually, it's not easy. And it's for the reason that I can link with your first question. For now, the feedback of the users are quite good, but a bit mitigated, let's say, on the retrieval part, actually. So we can see that sometimes LACI has some difficulties to identify the good documents. And it's also because actually the quality of the database has to evolve too, because we still have some double documents, etc. So it's not so easy, and we have more than 10,000 documents. So it's quite difficult to find the right information inside. But we are working on a few evolutions for the next month that can improve a lot, I think, the performance level of LACI in order to have the good level of satisfaction before scaling with thousands of users.
And business gave you objectives on satisfaction?
Yes. Yes. They gave us objectives. Then we also have to find a good balance, I think, on the objectives between the performance that you can have and also the risk acceptance that you want to have. Because you can imagine that today, also with a simple search engine working with keywords, when I have to find a document between 50, I can identify the wrong documents, and there is a risk already today. So I think you have to find the right balance between the two parts.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you very much for your presentation. I have a question about the RAG system. You talked about the improvement of the RAG system, and my question is, how do you ensure that the RAG queries are correct according to the queries made? There is so many ways to ask a question. For example, the queries generated behind to access the documents behind. How do you assess the quality of those queries, actually?
Maybe I can give a first pass. Actually, what we do, we do what we do in like traditional AI. We have some test data sets. Before deploying, we gather some test data set with some experts. And then we, on a couple of questions, we actually deploy the model and we analyze the response of the bots with our customer, our internal customer, and those are the customers that label say, okay, this is good answer, this is bad answer. So actually, we can assess the performance before deploying those models. That's where we find that the user just give us 2 keywords and expect to have an answer. We can categorize all the different type of mistakes and know where to invest our force, in what direction to go.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again for your presentation. You mentioned hallucinations. How do you avoid hallucinations? Because when given an answer, you better have a correct and relevant answer rather than something that's made up and not relevant.
Yeah, this is a hard question. Discussion that I think everyone is working on. What we will want in the ideal way is to have a score, something that is a kind of hallucination score that can be relevant, that we can, for each answer, we can highlight, we can have a probability of basically of success of answering the question. But it's not that easy to have a hallucination score that is really valid. So those are the things that we are working on. But we didn't crack this problem all the way till now. And that's why, that's why for now we are in pilot phase and we are only deploying those type of bots for internal customers, so only for internal collaborators. We don't put it already in the hand of the mass clients. That's one part of why we don't do that.
Also because, you can have big hallucinations, let's say, that are quite easy to identify, but you can also have some answers that are maybe just incomplete or inexact, and it's this kind of answers that are the most dangerous, let's say, because an hallucination, a big hallucination, the user can realize that that Lassie or Charlie is saying something wrong. But when you have an answer which is really, almost perfect, but just with a little detail which is wrong, there it's more complicated to identify it. Thank you very much.
Thanks for that.